Listen, a charging performance from behind by Wales. Tarka 400 got underway with an expo in Queenstown on the Thursday before the event. The arrival of the new Ford Ranger sparked considerable interest from the public, who were able to see their favorite off-road vehicles at close quarters and rub shoulders with competitors. The state-of-the-art SPM-built Mareka Ford Ranger was undoubtedly the star of the show. The event proper was based in the border town of Tarka, which is situated midway between Queenstown and Cradock. No one could have predicted that the sunny, partially cloudy weather would turn decidedly nasty by mid-morning. A cold front had started moving in from the coast with gale force winds, rain and even snow forecast for the weekend. As the conditions worsened, crews set about preparing for a muddy race while others took shelter. Multiple champion Alfie Cox leads the Open Motorcycle Championship on his Natro Freight Castrol KTM and has had 1 overall win and 3 second-place finishes this season. Shimwell's Yamaha rider Clayton Enslin has been the man to beat all season and has 3 overall wins under his belt and a comfortable lead in the 250 class. Andrew Ogden leads the 200 class and KTM dominates the top 3 positions. In the 250 class, Clayton Enslin has a 31-point lead, while Alfie Cox reigns supreme in the open class. Franz Czerbeck Sr. and Jr. have notched up a record 5 consecutive victories in the special vehicle category at the wheel of the immaculately prepared Porsche-powered V-Motors Chenoweth. The battle for second has John Weir Smith in the O'Hagan's Kopanong Hotel Jimco, chasing down reigning Class B champion Hill Nell.
We got Czerbeck in the lead at the moment. The fight is going to be for the second place overall in the special vehicles. Right now, Hill Nell's running second, we're running third. So I think that's where the fight's going to come in. There are still some other contenders who we're going to have to fight against and keep them off. And I think this, with us not finishing the last race, it's going to be difficult for us. We need to get a good result in this race.
It's all over bar the shouting as far as the Cherbecks are concerned. Hill Nell is handily placed in the Look Truggy, with Weir Smith and co-driver Jeff Minnett the danger man. Bombardier have taken the quad scene by storm and their riders have dominated the top placings all season. Cornel de Villiers has 3 victories under his belt, but teammate Jacques Strubich is always a major threat. Bombardier riders occupy the top 5 positions in the quad championship. Cornel de Villiers is the man to beat and has 28 points in hand over Jacques Strubich. Schumi van Vieren has a slender lead in the production vehicle championship. He briefly lost the lead to Mitsubishi's Bucks Carolyn after the Toyota 1000.
There are 3 races left. We're going to have the 8th race this year, which in the beginning of the year looked like we were not going to have. So only 7 out of the 8 races are going to count. So you can throw away your bad race for the year, which would maybe change the situation towards the end of the year slightly, but not all that much. So yeah, well, just got to give it our best shot and see how we end up.
Carolyn and co-driver Henny Terstegen have regularly finished on the podium in the ex-Dakar Mitsubishi Pajero, but overall victory has so far eluded them. Van Vieren leads the production vehicle championship in the Class D Land Cruiser, but cannot afford to relax with Carolyn waiting to pounce. The debut of the French-built Mareka Ford Ranger was shrouded in controversy, with rival teams questioning the vehicle's eligibility in respect of local Class T regulations. It was agreed that the Ford could run in Class T, subject to its eligibility being confirmed after the event.
I think there's a lot of excitement, also a lot of reservations, a lot of nervousness. I think all those things that go with being in a car for the first time. It's a huge, big project. It's the first for Ford Motor Company worldwide. I believe it's one of the best cars in the world, one of the highest technology, certainly in South Africa. So there's a lot of pressure on us, and so yeah, feeling a little bit nervous, but really looking forward to it. Very exciting. The car is it's an original car which we sent over from Ford Motor Company to France, to a company called SPM, who manufacture racing cars in France. The car is based on the Ford Ranger double cab. The cab and everything is still all intact. The firewall, the fenders, inside of the fenders are all intact. It runs the Cobra V8 Ford Mustang motor. It's a 4.6 litre aluminium block fuel injected engine, quad cam motor. The gearbox, it's a 6-speed sequential gearbox, which is manufactured in France. The diffs, we run X-Track diffs made by X-Track in England. The suspension is an SBM design suspension with a solid rear axle and an independent front suspension. The shock absorbers are manufactured by a company called Donnery in France, and we're really looking forward to it.
Nissan has dominated the season with 3 wins out of 5 events.
Well, at London, the team has moved our spare wheels backwards for the weight distribution to be more on the back wheels and for better jumping. So we've tested it and it felt very good. So I think this race is going to be good for us.
Much had been done to improve the performance and reliability of former champions Avi Reiniger and Robin Houghton's Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser.
We've done a few things. We've moved the spare wheels back towards behind the rear axle of the vehicle to get a better weight transfer onto the back axle. We've done a few things on the diffs. We've done some work on the suspension, especially on the back suspension. We've got more bump travel at the back. We replaced the troublesome gearbox that we had in the desert race with the standard Land Cruiser gearbox for the time being, while we're doing final development work on the sequential gearbox. And that's about it, yes. Fine-tuning and trying to get it better.
The poor weather conditions did not help matters as crews went about preparing themselves and their vehicles for the time trial. A good starting position is critical in off-road racing, and as a result, the time trial is taken seriously by everyone. To make matters worse, the heavens opened up minutes before the start of the time trial. There was no letting up as far as the weather was concerned, and competitors would be forced to contend with wet and extremely tricky conditions in the time trial. Reigning production vehicle champions Neil Woolridge and Kenny Skolthammer got their campaign in the new vehicle off to a good start. They set the joint fastest time in the time trial that presented a varied terrain for the drivers. The 3 remaining events in the championship would be used to shake down the Moreka Ford Ranger for its debut in Dakar 2002. Setting joint fastest time with Woolridge were father and son duo Gary and Bodo Berthold in the locally designed and built Nissan V6-powered M&E Glass-sponsored Dirtco. 2-time winners Geniel de Villiers and Francois Jordan were 3rd fastest in the Nissan Hardbody, 31 seconds behind Woolridge and the Bertholds. Reigning Special Vehicle Co-Drivers champion Bucks Carolyn and co-driver Henny Testiga had a good run and posted the 4th quickest time in the Mitsubishi Pajero, another vehicle built by SBM. Mark and Peter Brekel are former quad riders who have moved up into the special vehicle ranks. They acquitted themselves well in the time trial and would start 5th on the Saturday morning. Queenstown businessman and sponsor of the event, Greg Harvey and co-driver Boy Stone in the Queen Motorspares Jimco had a steady run in the tricky conditions. They would start 6 seconds behind the Brekel brothers. Botswana businessman Atang Makaganeni and new co-driver Mike Stangel qualified 7th in the Hellman's Logistics Jimco, but a broken side shaft a mere 2.5 kilometers into Saturday's main event forced them to retire from the race. Franz Chepik Sr. shared the cockpit of the V-Motors Chenoweth with Stephen Parker. A back injury forced Chepik Jr., who has already clinched the co-drivers championship, to sit this one out. Mark Ferguson and Blackie Swart are relative newcomers to the sport, and their 9th place in the Drinks Galore Chenoweth was a noteworthy performance. Northwest Province farmer Avi Reiniger and Robin Houghton had a clean run in the much-improved Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser and would start 10th. Mark Corbett and Juan Moore have been the winners of Class D in the past 2 events and were leading Class D qualifiers in the Petronas Cintium Isuzu. Bez and Dion Besaidno took charge in Class B and were 4.5 minutes faster than Hill Nell in the Look Africa Truggy. On board with Hannes Wobler and Richard Leake as they chased the Ailing Vacation Vans Jeep of Stratford Hooft and Scott Abraham that was now running in 2-wheel drive. Two punctures in the time trial cost the Nissan pair valuable time, and frustratingly, a recurring gearbox problem would see them drop out within the first few kilometers of Saturday's main event. Andrew and Chris Birkin have finally been awarded the 2000 Class E Championship title. They celebrated by posting the fastest time in their Castrol Toyota Hilux in the hotly contested 4-cylinder class. Surprisingly, special vehicles occupied 6 of the top 10 placings in the time trial, with Woolridge and Skuldhammer and Gary and Bodo Berthold joined fastest. Biting cold, rain and sleet greeted competitors as they prepared for the 7 o'clock